Hello, Alabama. Terrible news? Yes, but for Georgia. Malachi Moore and Cole Adams will likely be back, and that could change Bama too. Is this terrible for Georgia? Absolutely. Will Bama crush it? Let's get to the news, but first subscribe to the channel to receive more Bama news. The Alabama Crimson Tide is about to take the field against Georgia, and the recent injury updates to two key players bring good news for the team and its fans. Malachi Moore and Cole Adams, who had suffered injuries in the previous weeks, could be ready to return, which adds a positive element in the build-up to this crucial SEC matchup. Moore's presence on the roster, especially, is a relief for the Alabama defense. The player, who has been in concussion protocols following a head injury, had already returned to practice, as confirmed by head coach Kalen DeBoer. During his appearance on the Hey Coach radio show on Wednesday, DeBoer got straight to the point: Moore will be back. For a veteran player in his fifth year of his career, his experience and skill on the field are valuable assets that the Crimson Tide certainly need in games like this. Facing a team like Georgia requires a solid defense, and having Moore available will give Alabama a better chance of containing the opposing offense. As for Cole Adams, the situation was a bit more uncertain until recently. After suffering an arm injury in the game against South Florida, the severity of the situation was a real concern for the team. Adams sat out the game against Wisconsin, and speculation about his return was cautious. However, the outlook began to change, and the mood became more optimistic when DeBoer himself indicated that Adams was returning to form. On Wednesday, photos of him practicing were released, showing the redshirt freshman wearing an elbow brace but out of his black jersey, which indicates no contact. While he is still recovering, the fact that he is already participating in practice is a promising sign that he will be available on Saturday. Adams' return also raises another question: who will be Alabama's punt returner against Georgia? Hey Coach host Chris Stewart asked DeBoer about the possible options, and the coach made it clear that the role could be decided by a committee, depending on how the game unfolds. Jalen Backwee and Ryan Williams have also been mentioned as alternatives. But what is clear is DeBoer's confidence in all of these players. Alabama's flexibility and talent on the roster are hallmarks, and the decision on who will take over that role could be influenced by a number of factors during the game. DeBoer's ability to manage these situations and make dynamic decisions based on the flow of the game is one of his hallmarks as a coach, and one that has proven to be a success so far in his tenure. While Moore and Adams appear ready to return, the final decision on their participation will only be officially announced in the minutes leading up to kickoff. For Alabama, having these two players back, even if only partially, is a boost of confidence, especially in a high-stakes game like this one against Georgia. The Crimson Tide is always looking to maximize their performance on the field, and having these key players available could be just what the team needs to give them that extra boost and continue the program's strong tradition of success. The next few days will be crucial for the team and the fans. With the final decisions still to come, the focus remains on preparing the team in the best way possible, ensuring that every piece is in place to face the Bulldogs. Alabama has always been known for its resilience and depth on the roster, and even in the face of adversity, such as injuries, the team continues to demonstrate its ability to adapt and overcome challenges. Let's go ahead. This rivalry has given Bama and Georgia a lot to talk about. This matchup isn't just about rivalry or a fight for SEC supremacy, but also a crucial opportunity to determine the future of both teams in the college football playoff race. It's a game that brings to light the weight of the recent history between the two teams and the new dynamics under Kalen DeBoer at Alabama. Since they last faced off in the regular season in 2020, Alabama and Georgia have built an epic rivalry, meeting multiple times in the SEC championship game and the college football playoff. Georgia's victory in the 2022 national championship snapped a long losing streak to Alabama that stretched back to 2007. Alabama, under Nick Saban, has always been the Bulldogs' thorn in their side, but now, with DeBoer at the helm and Saban retired, the dynamics of this matchup appear to be changing. This game will be DeBoer's first real test of strength, and a win could solidify his leadership of the program and keep Alabama at the top of the national rankings. For Alabama to overcome a strong Georgia team, 3 keys will be essential. The first is to unlock the true potential of Jalen Milroe. Under DeBoer's guidance, Milroe has had a spectacular season, showing solid improvement in both the passing and running game. With 156 rushing yards in just 3 games and an undeniable ability to use his legs to escape pressure, Milroe presents himself as a constant threat to any defense. His ability to create explosive plays on the ground, coupled with his increasing confidence in passing, has put the Georgia defense on high alert. While the Bulldogs' defense is notoriously strong, they have shown vulnerability against dual-threat quarterbacks, as seen in the game against Kentucky, where Brock Vandagriff managed 70 rushing yards. This opens up an avenue for Milroe to exploit gaps in the opposing defense, creating opportunities not only for himself but also for the Crimson Tide's passing game. However, freeing Milroe up to do what he does best involves more than just letting him run. The Alabama coaching staff needs to get creative with how they involve the quarterback in the game plan, utilizing his mobility to disrupt Georgia's defense and open up other offensive plays. If Milroe can continue his current pace, he has the potential to turn this game into his coming-out party in a big way, which would be a monumental win for Alabama. The second key is to shut down Georgia's running game. Historically, the Bulldogs have built their offense around a strong ground game, utilizing a physical approach that opens up the rest of their offensive scheme. Even with running back Roderick Robinson II out due to injury, Georgia still has some enviable depth at the position, led by Trevor Etienne and freshman Nate Frazier. If Alabama allows Georgia to establish its running game, it will open the door for the opposing offense to flow much more efficiently, something they clearly need to succeed. However, when Georgia was held back on the ground, their struggles became apparent. Against Clemson in the season opener, the Bulldogs averaged less than 3 yards per carry in the first half, which resulted in just 2 field goals and a subpar offensive performance. It wasn't until Etienne returned in the second half that the offense began to gain traction, and that's a lesson Alabama needs to learn. By holding back on the ground, especially in the early stages of the game, the Crimson Tide can force Georgia to become one-dimensional, which will benefit the Alabama defense. The third key, finally, is executing the game plan in the crunch moments. Games like this are defined by the details: an extra possession, a critical play made, or a turnover at a crucial moment. Alabama, under DeBoer, has already demonstrated its ability to adapt to circumstances and adjust its strategies as the game unfolds. The depth of the roster and the ability of players like Milroe to maintain offensive balance give the Crimson Tide an edge in terms of versatility. Let's move on. With Alabama under the leadership of Kalen DeBoer and Georgia trying to maintain its post-Kirby Smart dominance, comparisons between these programs and Tennessee are inevitable. The structure of the early season schedule, with mostly one-sided games and few big matchups, may have been designed to prolong the suspense in the SEC title race. However, when it comes to direct comparisons, this Saturday's Alabama-Georgia game stands out as the game that will define the course of the conference, and not just for these two teams. Tennessee, which still faces both Alabama and Georgia, will be watching this matchup closely, knowing that the results will directly influence its own trajectory. Looking at the comparisons between the three programs, Tennessee is starting to earn a new kind of respect, especially after defeating Alabama in an epic 52-49 game at home in 2022. Neyland Stadium has become a true cauldron for the Vols, with one of the greatest home field advantages in college football today. However, that historic win over the Crimson Tide was not repeated against Georgia, which has won the last 7 meetings against Tennessee, and did so comfortably. However, the dynamics are changing, and this is not the same unbeatable Georgia team that won the 2021 and 2022 national titles. The absence of stars like Brock Bowers and Ladd McConkey has created uncertainty about the Bulldogs' offensive firepower, and their replacements have yet to show that they can maintain the same level of excellence. This raises questions about whether Georgia can beat Alabama on the road or even contain Tennessee in November. On the other side, Alabama, under DeBoer's leadership, appears to have more potential for big plays, especially with Jalen Milroe at quarterback. His ability to run and throw accurately deep gives the Crimson Tide an offensive dimension that makes them a constant threat to any defense. Additionally, rookie wide receiver Ryan Williams is already emerging as a rising star, which adds even more firepower to Alabama's offense. Even after Nick Saban's departure, DeBoer has managed to maintain the Crimson Tide's tradition of excellence, and there is a sense that the program remains in good hands. Interestingly, when compared to Georgia and Alabama, Tennessee can now claim to have the best defensive line of the three. This is an advantage that has rarely been on the Vols' side in recent seasons, but it may now be the difference they need to finally turn the tide in these rivalries. If Tennessee can hold its defensive line against Georgia's rushing attack or Milroe and company's aerial attack, they could turn the tide in a series that has largely been dominated by the Bulldogs and the Crimson Tide. Another thing that stands out is the way DeBoer has honored Alabama's rich history. In succeeding Nick Saban, he has not only kept the program competitive on the field, but he has also continued to preserve the traditions that make the Crimson Tide a historic powerhouse. Maintaining connections with alumni and past legends is one way DeBoer reinforces the program's winning culture, and it has resonated with both current players and fans, who see him as a worthy successor to Saban. With all of this in mind, times may be changing in the SEC. Tennessee, Georgia, and Alabama are all at different stages of their journeys, but all are strong contenders for the title. However, the playing field may now be more even than ever. While Alabama and Georgia still maintain their elite status, Tennessee is showing that it has the pieces to compete on equal terms. The 2024 season could be remembered as the time the Vols finally broke the stranglehold of these two powerhouses, or as the year Alabama and Georgia continued to pave their path to conference success. Either way, Saturday's matchup in Tuscaloosa will have a profound impact not only on Alabama and Georgia, but also on Tennessee, which will be eager to see where it truly fits in this race. Kalen DeBoer knew when he took over as head coach of the Alabama Crimson Tide that he was stepping into one of the most important legacies in college football. Replacing a legend like Nick Saban is a different task, but DeBoer has demonstrated from the beginning that in addition to his pursuit of success on the field, he is equally committed to preserving and honoring the program's rich history. A key part of that commitment is maintaining a close connection with Alabama football alumni, something Saban valued and DeBoer has been eager to continue. The presence of alumni in the program has been a constant under Saban, and DeBoer has made it clear that this tradition continues. Since taking over in January, he has dedicated himself to ensuring that the former players who have contributed so much to the program's success feel welcome in Tuscaloosa. For DeBoer, these relationships are more than just a formality, they are an integral part of the culture and legacy that makes Alabama a special program. In a recent conversation with Mark Ingram on the Triple Option, DeBoer stressed the importance of keeping the door open for alumni to return and continue to be a part of the Crimson Tide family. "You guys made this place what it is," DeBoer told Ingram, acknowledging that Alabama's greatness was built by those who came through the program before he arrived. He compared the connection to his own experience as a University of Sioux Falls alumnus, emphasizing that, like him, former Alabama players should always feel like Tuscaloosa is their home. That sense of belonging is crucial to what DeBoer wants to build at Alabama. He knows that former players have an ongoing role in the life of the program, not only as historical figures, but as mentors and role models for current generations of athletes. Including former players in team activities, whether formal events or informal visits, reinforces the idea that the Crimson Tide is a family that transcends generations. The fact that the field at Bryant-Denny Stadium now bears Saban's name is a testament to the impact the legendary coach had on Tuscaloosa, and DeBoer is keen to honor that legacy. He said he has been in frequent contact with Saban since the transition, noting that while the former coach is now involved in the media, he remains an important part of the program's history. DeBoer doesn't see Saban's greatness as something to be surpassed or forgotten, rather, he wants to ensure that the standard set by his predecessor remains the foundation for Alabama. It's a privilege to be here, DeBoer said, acknowledging that Saban deserves all the credit for making Alabama what it is today. The task of replacing a legend is daunting, but DeBoer has shown a deep understanding of the importance of honoring the past while building for the future. Under his leadership, Alabama continues to grow stronger, not only on the field, but also in maintaining its ties to those who were part of its rich history. He's making sure alumni feel connected, that Saban's legacy lives on, and that the Crimson Tide's winning spirit continues to thrive. I want to hear from you. Comment below.